I'm just going for a spot of foraging in the countryside. Wanna come? I've come here in the hopes that I can find enough things to put into a wild salad. So yeah, if I do, then it's going to be a super healthy and nutritious salad. So let's go and see what I can find. This white flowering plant down here is the white dead nettle. It's Lamium album. It's part of the mint family. So if I pick it, you'll see that it has a square-shaped stem. So it's a hollow stem, it's got 4 flat sides, and from the bottom, can't see very well, but it is in fact square-shaped. Like the other Lamium species, this has a traditional use in folk medicine, so it's known for being used in skin complaints and also for women's health regarding period problems. So you can eat the younger, more tender parts when raw, but to be honest, it's better steamed as a vegetable. And whilst it's not a very aromatic herb, the flowers are actually used to make a wine. I don't think people do this much anymore, but I think there is a place in Yorkshire that still do it. It's not related to stinging nettles at all, but as you can see, it likes to grow in amongst them. But if you weren't sure, then obviously stinging nettle's going to sting you. But it's generally got larger, wider leaves with larger serrated edges, whereas the white dead nettle has smaller, thinner leaves, and they are slightly furry and soft, and the edges are more finely serrated. Like the stinging nettle, these are a very nutritious plant, so per 100 grams the leaves are actually really high in protein, vitamin C, and especially vitamin A. This lovely little yellow flower is called lesser celandine or celandine, and it's totally stealing the show right now across all the woodlands. It's literally everywhere. It's got these lovely little heart-shaped leaves that have paler splotches on. If you take a look for yourself when you see it, you'll see all the leaves have little lighter patches on them. And the whole of this plant is edible, including the root, but obviously unless you have permission to be digging up plants from the landowner, then you won't be doing that. So yeah, this whole plant is edible, but it has to be cooked. You can't eat this one raw. And also there are quite a few yellow flowering plants that some people might think look similar. So obviously you've got dandelions, but the flowers do look very different, but they're yellow, and some people will be like, oh, it's yellow, it looks a bit like that, so it must be that. But no, you need to actually identify things properly, because whilst the dandelions are edible, some might think that these look like buttercups, and the buttercup is definitely not edible. So yeah, you need to know your stuff. I've never tried this one before, actually. I don't know if it's any good, so if you've tried it, let me know. Oh yeah, I almost forgot to mention, one of its common nicknames is pilewort, and that's because it was traditionally used in herbalism as a treatment for hemorrhoids. This is one of my favourite oak trees ever. It's absolutely massive. You can't really get quite up close to it because it's fenced off in a private area. Look at his face. If, like me, you get absolutely annihilated by mosquitoes every damn summer, then you need some of this plant. It's called plantain. This is the ribwort plantain. So as you can see, it's a long green leaf, and it's got these very prominent ribs that run along the back. And these grow in little rosettes pretty much everywhere, and they especially like to grow where people tread a lot. So you'll see them on footpaths and by the side of footpaths. It is actually very nutritious and has various vitamins and minerals, and it's anti-inflammatory and antimicrobial, etc. But it's not one of the tastiest plants, to be honest. I don't really know of people that eat this, but go ahead and try it. It does have various traditional medicinal uses, but in my opinion, the best application for this is as a topical aid. So this is the best thing for bites and stings. So I do make a balm with this plant every year that I can carry around with me and use whenever. But if you want like instant relief, whenever I get a mosquito bite, I will crush this up, or you can even chew it up. I think that makes it a little bit more effective. But crush it all up and just rub it over the affected area, and it has amazing quick relief from itches and stings. These ones down here are the broadleaf plantain, so they have the same uses as the ribwort plantain, but obviously you can see the leaves are a lot more broad, and they can grow huge actually. And this is a much larger example of the ribwort plantain. So as it gets bigger, it gets much longer and it doesn't get any wider. So there is a broadleaf plantain on the left and a ribwort plantain on the right, and this is the underside, so this is where the ribs are a lot more prominent. These are dandelion leaves. You probably recognise them, I would imagine most people do. Obviously there's no flower here yet, but still the leaves are very recognisable because they have very jagged points. The whole dandelion plant is edible in some way or another, so the roots are harvested in winter and dehydrated and ground into a coffee alternative. And then you've got the leaves, which are highly nutritious. They have a great nutritional profile, so they contain a lot of vitamins and minerals and are especially high in vitamin A. You can eat them raw in a salad or you can cook them, and a lot of people find them a bit too bitter, but I don't think they're that bad. And then being a completely edible plant, you can eat the buds and the flowers too, but they're not very appetizing to me. This is a patch of wild garlic, in case you couldn't tell. There's not too much to say about this, to be honest. I've already talked about it in one of my previous vlogs, the waterfall vlog, so if you want to hear a bit more, then watch that. But I'm not actually collecting the leaves today, I'm collecting the buds. These are really nice popped into a salad if you don't mind a sharp burst of flavour. So yeah, they're really good for that, or you can pickle them as well and they're really nice that way too. I'm only going to collect a small handful from a few different plants. I'm not going to take too much. I just spotted these really well tucked away in the hedgerows. So this is garlic mustard or hedge garlic. And these smaller rounder leaves are the first year of growth. So in the second year, the plant will grow a stem and it will flower and the leaves will be pointier. So if you're foraging this for the first time, then it might be better to wait and see if you can spot any second growth plants, and then you can be a bit more familiar with what they look like. Otherwise, when you're collecting these, the first year leaves, they are quite small and they grow very low to the ground and you may confuse them with something else. Obviously a good thing to do is to use your senses. So if you crush it up, you have to crush it quite well, because unlike wild garlic, it's not quite as pungent. But if you crush one of these up, you will definitely get a garlicky with a hint of mustard type aroma. There's a marvellous little purple flower down here that is called ground ivy. This is a really aromatic wild herb that is also part of the mint family. It's got these little fuzzy heart-shaped leaves and tiny purple flowers, and so it could be confused with the red or purple dead nettle, but it doesn't have any toxic lookalikes. This is a very aromatic herb, so it's got a very strong minty type smell. Some people think it smells weird, but I definitely have the minty smell personally. In terms of flavour, it's minty and sage-like, and this can be used instead of thyme or rosemary in cooking. There's many ways that you can use it. You could use it as a salad garnish or a cocktail garnish, for example, or you can cook it and eat it as a leafy green, but obviously it might have a bit of a strong flavour, so I wouldn't use too much. Or you can make it into a tea. Traditionally, it was used to treat respiratory conditions, so it's an expectorant, meaning that it's good for coughs and colds as it can help to clear the mucus out of the body. It has anti-inflammatory and antiviral properties amongst others, so obviously that's good for coughs and colds as well. And it actually has an association to witchcraft, so it was commonly, or is still commonly used, I'm not sure, in magic spells. The primroses are all the way along the footpath, but I'm not going to pick any from here because there's probably been 100 dogs that have pissed on them. So yeah, we can talk about them, but I'm going to pick mine from a different spot. Primroses are really easy to identify because they have these crinkly cabbage-like leaves, and the flowers are pretty distinct, to be honest, and if you smell them, they've got a very buttery sweet kind of smell. This pale yellow variety is the most common. When you see it, you'll probably see a lot more rosettes of plants flowering. They especially like to grow around ancient woodland, so you'll probably see a lot around there. And there also is another wild colour variety, which is like a pale reddish, pinkish, sometimes purplish colour, but they're not as common as these yellow ones, it seems. And then obviously you've got the garden varieties which come in much brighter colours, and you've got pinks and purples, etc. You can eat the flowers and leaves raw in a salad, which is what I'm going to do, or you can cook the leaves like a vegetable, like spinach basically. We have quite a few hawthorn trees in this hedgerow, and as some of you might know, the hawthorn leaves and the hawthorn berries are edible, and they are really good for you. In the autumn you can make jellies and jams from the berries, and they're really good for heart health. And the leaves are supposed to be even more potent in terms of medicinal qualities. So yeah, you can eat them as a salad leaf. Most people will describe the flavour as just being green, which isn't very helpful to describe it to someone who doesn't know what that means, but you can kind of guess. A bit like the grass that I tried the other day. It just tastes green. But sometimes I do get a hint of apple, like sour apple skin kind of flavour from these. And they're not that bad at all, so I'm going to put them in my salad. They're definitely worth eating because they're so good for you and they don't taste bad at all. So let's get some of those. So obviously a very sensible thing to do is to wash anything that you're going to be eating raw, and anything that you're going to be cooking, but especially raw because you don't know what animals have been around. So I am going to rinse these leaves now, and it might ruin the quality of the leaves a little bit, but at least you won't be consuming anything undesirable. I totally forgot that I'd packed this olive oil and balsamic in my bag, and I've been throwing my rucksack around all over the place. It's gone everywhere, but luckily I put it in a plastic bag. So to break it down, this has got dandelion leaves, primrose flowers, hawthorn leaves, wild garlic buds, garlic mustard leaves, and I think that's it. And an egg. I didn't forage the egg, but that was just to make it a bit more substantial and for a bit of protein, obviously. What a mess after I made it look so lovely in the beginning. Oh well, it's just about those small moments, isn't it? I find it really satisfying to present food in a pretty and aesthetic way. So it was worth it just for that moment. There's definitely a few more plants around here that I could discuss, but I just didn't want to make the video too long. So I will definitely do another video on spring edible plants, because there is plenty more and it's just finding them. And I would especially like to collect some common hogweed and do a little cooking session with those. So you'll have to keep an eye out for that video, because I'm not going to promise when it will be, but it will either be another foraging vlog or I might do a camp out somewhere. We'll see. So yeah, that is all. Happy foraging and stay safe. Make sure you are foraging sustainably. Do not overpick things. Only take between 10 and 30% of what you are picking. As always, thank you for watching. Lots of love to everyone. Goodbye.